I've read so many stories here, so I decided to submit mine. About 6 years ago, I was with my friend Tom at my parents' cabin. We decided to head off to a casino located on the Ojibwe Reserve about 45 minutes away. The entire stretch of highway between is heavily forested and has no lights, meaning it can only get incredibly dark. We got there and played some poker, tried a few table games, and grabbed some dinner with our winnings. Pretty successful night overall for the both of us. We ended up leaving the casino around 1 a.m., a little later than I would have liked, given the lack of any streetlights. We drove for about 20 minutes on the highway without passing any other vehicles when I noticed 2 green orbs just off the highway before a hill. Realizing it was a deer, I slammed on the brakes and waited. Several deer crossed and we resumed driving. The car was going slowly up the hill because it was a starting stop. As soon as we make the crest of the hill, Tom screamed, "Holy shit!" Right in front of us was a young woman walking in the middle of our lane towards us, no more than maybe 30 feet away. I slam again on the brakes and come within 10 feet of her. Thankfully, slowing down earlier and climbing the hill meant we weren't going so fast. But what was going through my mind wasn't the fact that I nearly ran over someone. It was that this young woman with pitch black hair was wearing a white nightgown with no shoes, was still walking towards us with a blank, expressionless face. Not going to lie, that image frightened me because it looked like something straight out of a horror movie. Tom and I waited to see if she was going to pull up to our window and maybe ask for help or something. She made it to the front of my car and went around the driver's side. She didn't stop, but she raised her hand and dragged it across the side of my car while continuing her walk. At this point, Tom and I were both freaked out. I asked Tom what to do. He said that we should just get out of there. For whatever reason, I didn't feel right about leaving her and not asking if she was all right. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw that she was still walking. Having almost hit her and knowing that something just wasn't right, I decided to do something. I told Tom that I was going to ask if she was all right. Tom pleaded that we just go and get out of there. I put on some bravado and told him not to worry and that I would be right back. I put on my blinkers and stepped out of my car. I left my door open to provide some light, and I walked around to the trunk of my car. My interior lights didn't do much, but blinkers allowed me to see an outline of her slightly down the hill, only able to see her every other second. I half yelled, "Are you all right?" She finally stopped walking, but still faced the other way. There was no response. I heard Tom's door open as he was getting out to join me. Suddenly, she started screaming. Tom and I ran back into my car, and I just floored it. I got a lot of shit from Tom for the remainder of the ride back to my cabin. Haven't heard or seen anything like that on the highway since, and I'm pretty thankful for it. That was the creepiest moment of my life. I know this may not be as extreme or dangerous as some of the stories in the subreddit. This happened around last year during the summer to early fall. I go to dialysis and I ride transportation to and from the center. I only have 2 drivers usually, one who picks me up in the morning and another who takes me home in the afternoon. Sometimes my regular drivers are usually out sick or off, one or the other. This day, I had a substitute, so to speak. There were 3 other people riding the bus with me, one girl who was around my age, a mother and a daughter. Now, I'm a female for the record, around 22 years of age in this story. I'm usually extremely reclusive and antisocial. It's just the type of person I am. I enjoy my alone time and being by myself. This means I don't have a lot of friends. Most of my friends from high school aren't around anymore. They moved or just lost touch with me. The creepy girl in question was soft-spoken and mousy. She didn't even seem all that harmful, but looks can be deceiving. We had a pretty good conversation regardless of the awkwardness, and at the end of the trip, I decided to give her my number. When she asked for it as well as my Yahoo screen name, I thought, why not? I could use a friend. I suppose I should have known she was going too fast when she asked for a hug when I got off the bus. However, I thought it was harmless at the time. When I got home, that's when the questions took a turn for the worse. She asked me what my sexuality was. I identify as gender blind or pansexual, so I told her truthfully that I did not care about gender. If I like them romantically, I like them romantically. She took this as me trying to somehow hint that I wanted a relationship with her. Then she started asking personal questions. Too personal, for only knowing this girl for a few hours. I don't remember too many of the questions. However, I do remember one that made me sign off. What is your bra size? I told her I had to go and I didn't sign on for the rest of the night. The following day, I didn't answer her texts. I was hoping that by merely ignoring her, she would back off. Though I should know honestly, with my experience, that never happens. So a day goes by and I don't answer her. The following day after that, I continue to not answer her texts. Before she texts me on a different number, talking about how she wishes she was there with me, I tell her, I'm okay, I like being alone. She continues to text me and I try my hardest to be dismissive and seem as disinterested as possible. Then she calls me right as I get home. I decide not to answer and nip it in the butt right there and then. I told her that I think we should go our separate ways, that she made me uncomfortable and I don't think it's a good idea. She then asks, can we still be friends? Never once did I hint at wanting a relationship with her. Never once did I say I want a relationship. I tell her, that's not a very good way to start a friendship. She says, bye, and never talked to me or contacted me again after that. I'm glad for that. I've learned to be assertive and upfront about my feelings. If someone is making you uncomfortable, do not give them any hope, nor slack. They'll continue to think that type of behavior is okay. To give some background, I'm a guy who at the time was a bachelor's degree student at Lancaster University in Lancashire, UK. I was attending my second year of university back in 2012, and I decided I wanted to change my accommodation from living within campus to living in town. Now, Lancaster isn't much of a big city, as the population there is about no more than 150,000 people. I chose to live in town because I was enjoying the clubbing scene a little too much apparently, as well as having the option to eat from different restaurants, as not all of them deliver up to the university campus. To also give a background about myself, with relevance to the story, I was pretty much out of shape at the time, and I had trouble making friends and meeting new people, and I wasn't a very confident person. The story began one night when I was staying up until 1 a.m. on a Sunday morning playing Call of Duty Black Ops on my Xbox 360. I was feeling very hungry at that time and I decided to head to the local fast food place, which takes about no more than 7 to 10 minutes walking, as the accommodation was just a turn from the main street of the town. All I had to do was walk the side street, take a left into the main street, walk a few kilometers, and the place would be the second shop on the left when entering the right side of the forked main road. I had to wear my shirt, a university hoodie, and a heavy jacket as the nights up north were pretty damn cold. Despite it raining very heavily, there were many university students up and about on hangouts and pub crawls. I withdrew some cash from the ATM next to the local Sainsbury, pulled my headphones on, put on some music, and headed to the fast food place to get some pizza. I got there, made my order, and decided to wait outside and have a cigarette in the rain to get my mind off upcoming presentations that needed to be finished. As I was trying to enjoy my cigarette, a man came up to me and began striking up a conversation by asking if I had an extra cigarette for him to smoke. He looked to be between 45 to 50 years old, overweight, and looked like he could be someone's dad. Understanding how much a packet of Marlboros costs in the UK, and since I had a lot from the duty-free shop from my home country, fuck it, why not? I handed him a cigarette, thinking in my mind he would take it and leave me be, as I was clearly wearing my headphones with the hoodie over my head to indicate I wasn't really up to socialize at this time. Unfortunately, he didn't, and he began to ask me about what food I ordered. Do I come here often? Again, being the type of guy who wasn't a confident person, I didn't have it in me to politely give him a hint to leave. And I didn't want to be rude, so I started chatting with him, but trying my best to give short and close-ended answers. That only egged him on to begin even asking me personal questions. This is kind of how the conversation began. Creep. So what's your name? Me. My name is... Creep. So are you a student at the university? Me. Yeah. Creep. What do you study? Me. Business? Creep. Which year are you in? Me. Second, creep. So how old are you? Me. I'm 19. The conversation kept going, and at first I didn't see anything off about the man. He started asking me if I had a girlfriend. I told him no, and then automatically asked me if I had a boyfriend. I told him also no. He began telling me why such a handsome guy like me wasn't dating or not hanging out in the clubs on a weekend. I didn't know what to tell him, so I just stuck with the "I don't know either" answer. He then asked me a question so personal a red flag popped up right away. Creep. Do you play with yourself? Me thinking, what the hell? I began to get really embarrassed, and I didn't know how or what to reply to this guy. That only encouraged him in asking that question again. I told him while muttering, probably incoherently, that was a very personal question. Creep. Come on, like you don't like to play with yourself. You don't know any sexy young women you like to play with yourself too? I'm a guy as well, and I play with myself a lot. Being lost for words, I was only praying that my order comes out and just tell him goodbye and go back to my dorm. The road was getting quieter, and it was almost 2 a.m., and as he was dragging on the conversation about some other personal things, asking about my sexual preference and my sexuality, until the guy from the place comes outside with both orders. The creep took this as his cue for his second move of the night and asked me if I wanted to join him to eat in on the benches downtown. Politely declining his offer, saying I had to go, made him only more nervous and agitated. He kept persisting for about 5 minutes that he wanted me to join him to eat our pizzas together further downtown from across the fast food joint. I just wanted to decline because I was really creeped by this guy, and my gut feeling begged me not to join him. The main reason for this was because the town becomes almost empty at that time, and all the people are either at the clubs or back in their accommodations, and if he tried anything out of the ordinary, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to overpower him. The screwed up thing was, when I told him with an irritated voice to please leave me alone, he told me the sentence with an angry and impatient tone. Creep. Mate, I'm not gay. I'm not going to shag you. He began to grip my hand strongly and start to drag me further down into the quiet road. I angrily yanked my hand out of his and told him to leave me the hell alone. As people from the club across the place started to see this, he dragged himself into his car and left. A good friend of mine who worked in the shop, who wasn't much aware of the situation, came out to see why I was standing in front of the shop with a worried look on his face. I told him everything was fine, waved him goodbye, and went back to my accommodation. I kept looking back as I was walking home, my heart pounding fast, looking to see if he would turn the street and come back to get me. He didn't, and I was very glad to be back in the safety of my accommodation, away from the cold and from that damn creep. This is a throwaway, because other people know me on here, and I just thought I might share with you what can happen when you let somebody fix your computer. Not that I'm creepy at all in real life, or on here for that matter, but still. Things that seem funny or innocuous can get a little out of hand. I fix and sell computers as part of my job, and we get a lot of virus/malware removals, as well as customers' recycling of old, unwanted laptops and desktops. We try and fix what we can and resell it, but only after thoroughly washing the hard drives as best we can after diagnosing the laptop or desktop for faulty parts. Now, anyone who knows computers knows you can never totally keep eyes off your old hard drive unless you, A, write over it so many times the images and files become too fragmented to decipher, or B, you remove the platters, grind them into dust, and spread them around your backyard. A lot of people leave stuff on their computers that they really should erase. They are also under the false assumption that emptying the recycle bin will make it all go away. Not true. Granted, you have to go looking for it, but we will get to that in a minute. So, it started off as hunting down malware and figuring out how people were getting infections on their computers. Some people allow their kids to use it, kids look at something they should not, computer gets infected. It happens all the time, and parents want to know what to confront their kids about, so I have had everything you can imagine come up. No CP yet, I will go to the authorities if I ever find any. Mostly standard shady stuff and questionable websites. Most is easy to remove. For those people who just recycle their computers, most do nothing to clean it prior to turning it in. This is where I started. I would see a picture, video, GIF, anything really that is on a computer you are repairing or diagnosing for resale, and I would think, that's cool, never saw it before. Let me put it on my thumb drive. I never look at anyone's personal banking info, emails, etc. Whenever you do a data transfer, you need to look at all the pics, videos, documents, app data, etc. to make sure you were grabbing everything before reinstalling, so I would go through and make sure I got everything. Now, granted, you don't have to look at everything when you transfer, but you sort of spot check, make sure you got it, etc. Well, every now and then I would grab the aforementioned stupid stuff and save it to my thumb drive. But then I got unintentionally creepy. I would look at the real pics of the people whose computer I had in my possession. Wedding photos, party photos, graduations, etc. Most are just plain pics that mean nothing to anyone, other than the person who took them. However, every now and then we would get some attractive women in there who loved taking selfies. Most of them anyway. Or their boyfriends would take pics of them and their friends or whoever. Some people are just really photogenic and are very beautiful, so I started saving some of their personal pics to my thumb drive. I would do it on the sly and then take them home, load them on my own PC and just look at them. A couple of times turned into doing it habitually. Then it turned into scouring their hard drives for pics they erased. I would recover the photos, save some, and repeat the process. I would put them into folders by hair color, pose, manner of dress, etc. I do not consider myself a very photogenic person, and I like looking at people who are. It got to the point that I had dozens of other people's pics on my home computer looking at them. I did this for about 2 months until I realized it was pretty freaking creepy. I would talk to these people about their repairs, joke with them, give them advice on PC protection, and I was rating their files for my own collection, building memories of people I don't even know. I thought about Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo, the spread of pics he has stuck professionally on his wall, and I got really weirded out. All I thought I was doing was grabbing nice photos, but I was being a creeper and my customers did not even know they were being creeped. I deleted the photos, changed out my hard drive with a new one, and destroyed the old one. I have not done anything like that since. Pay attention to what you are doing when you throw away, recycle, or get a PC repaired. Some people use your memories as substitutes for a lack of their own. I never go outside unless I'm with a friend, and even then it's usually just to the store or appointments. I have to wear this special breathing mask. Not the one with the oxygen, just the type to filter out the nasty stuff due to my lung condition and allow me to breathe without my lungs burning. Since I can't go to school, can't work, and have refused many social medias, I'm often left to my own devices. This night, I left the house for a decent, much-desired stroll. The neighborhood was nice and there wasn't a lot of traffic, which meant no harmful exhaust. I waited until a little after midnight to make sure. Still, I put on my breathing mask just in case. To note, I would like to take strolls before midnight, but I have to wait until there's little to no cars out. It had been a long time since I'd been out of the house, let alone went for a stroll. Living right next to the military base always made me feel safer. Nothing bad ever happened in my neighborhood, but I read a lot of let's not meet and creepy encounters, so I'd made sure to bring along some pepper spray, and my fists. It hadn't even been 15 minutes of enjoying the night that I had noticed someone walking the opposite direction on the other side of the street. From the build, he looked military. Phew. Good old military men and women. I smiled to myself, feeling a little more relieved. The base is a few blocks wide, but I've never ventured to see how far it went on the pedestrian side, though I do know there's a trail that a lot of people used to go running, military personnel included. I suddenly realized how curious I was and made the decision to follow the fence all the way to its end, and maybe go on a trail depending on various factors. A fun little adventure with just myself. Tonight would be memorable, even if it did set me back a week or two with my mysterious lung condition. I have to live a little. I can't just exist, you know. 5 minutes pass, and I get the feeling that someone else is out there. Well, obviously, Katie, it's a neighborhood. With people. Still, I stop to stretch a little and eventually peer under my legs. Now that I think about it, that's actually a bad and vulnerable move. I was trying to be ninja incognito at the time and thought that was a good idea. Okay, so that's a body walking this direction. Don't panic, I tell myself in large friendly letters. Just keep walking because it's probably someone from the base and there's no use in getting paranoid over nothing. I decide to hold on to my pepper spray for safe measures and continue walking, looking at the stars. It's a once-in-a-few-months special occasion and I'm not about to miss a moment of it. The end of the gate is getting nearer. Is that person still behind me? My pepper spray is on this bungee that I keep on my wrist for easy access since it's not wise to take an entire purse out for a nightly stroll. I wanted to capture this moment, so I pulled out my phone and let the spray spring back a little. I find my camera on my phone and lift it up to take a picture, adjusting the setting to night mode. That's when I felt it. The midnight stroller comes up behind me, holds a knife to my throat, and says, "Don't scream, don't make a move." Which I thought somewhat hilarious because I'm just holding my camera up and it looks like a picture-perfect moment minus the knife at my throat. I reach for my pepper spray, but he's quicker than I am. I nod slightly and he says, "That's good. Now take a picture." I hesitate, but do as he says. Good. I can feel him pressed against me, his member pushing into my back. I'm thankful he's not wearing any cologne, thinking this could have been a real nightmare, and then wondering how many other people wouldn't consider this a nightmare already. I move slightly to avoid feeling it pressed against my back. I said, don't move. I remain a statue, still finding the irony in my beautiful night and attempting but failing to stifle my would-be laughter. Oh, great Kitty, just laugh at the most inappropriate time. I couldn't help but find it slightly amusing that he had me take a picture. Why? Is something funny to you, you little bitch? He waited for me to answer. No, nothing. Keep walking. I can see that he intends for me to walk past the trail, which I'll add was dimly lit. My lungs are having a fit at this point, partially from my erratic breathing and something in the air. I never really know what will set off the inflammation. This is not how I intended for my night to go, so I say it. This is not how I intended my night to go, mister. I don't want to follow the trail because I have a chronic lung illness and they already feel like they're on fire, and the trail is only going to make it worse, so please let me go home. What? I guess he wasn't expecting to hear that. What's wrong with your lungs? It's interesting, you read encounters of people on here who totally change the situation by what they said. I wonder if this was really happening for me. Sometimes I feel like I'm the unluckiest person alive. I don't know. The doctors don't know, and I don't have enough money to see a specialist. But they are hurting so much right now. Please, just let me go. Huh. Okay. Okay? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Thanks. And then I'm out of there, walking because I can't run. On the way home I wonder what just happened, and what would have happened if I didn't have this condition. If that made a difference because it seemed like it did, and hoping he doesn't hurt anyone. I arrived home safely, lungs on fire, and thought, well, at least the night was somewhat memorable. So, creepy dude who ruined my walk, thanks for letting me go, but let's not meet again.